What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Freak Show. I'm your boy Cyrex, and this is episode 21. I should have gotten that little sample, that little sound clip, that 21, but nah, I always hated that thing. It's episode 21, y'all, and I first want to start by thanking you all. That's redundant. Thanking you all for listening, for subscribing, for basically just rolling with me, for being fans. And basically, as an appetizer for Free Rex, which is coming very soon, I've released a freestyle like lo-fi mixtape. It's not like you know, it's basically like kind of alpha. It's called Sci-Fi, and it's 8 tracks. It's about 25 minutes grand total, and I just basically freestyle over 8 industry songs. Now, this is absolutely free. There's no, there's no mixing. It's even labeled as uncooked and unmixed, which means completely raw and unmixed. So, hope you enjoyed that. They were just fun to make. Especially the Fear freestyle that I did. That one I was listening back to it when I put it out, and honestly, I really like that one. I consider these just like something. It was just a little experiment. It wasn't gonna be like up to my standards or anything, but I mean, I enjoyed like what I got out, what I talked about on that one. So that was fun. Got a bunch more videos and just media overall coming soon. Got some more songs coming soon. Definitely want to check out Sci-Fi while you can, because it will not be up forever. It's a limited time deal, so get on that, y'all. Cyrex MC, be sure to follow on SoundCloud. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on Twitter, follow on Instagram to get all the updates. And I guess that's basically all I want to start with. That's basically the whole intro right now. I guess it's gonna get a little grim right now. This, it has been a couple days now. I'm a little late to get into this. As far as actually talking about it on the show, of course, known about it since, since the news broke, or a little bit after. But yeah. Of course, we all know about the conflict, the riots, especially that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia. I don't even know where to start. Basically, I'll give you a review over here. Basically, it looks like they were looks like how this began was that they were basically a bunch of white nationalists and right-wing activists, all alt-right especially. And Charlottesville is a Democratic town, or a Democratic voting town. I'll admit I didn't really know that about much of Virginia. Virginia, I guess, has remained Democratic a lot of the time. Let's see here. So, okay, see, I'm trying to get like the full review. It seems like they were trying to take down a statue of Robert E. Lee. And that seemed to draw a lot of, like I said, white nationalists and right-wing activists, alt-right activists. So basically, they just came, it seems, to just be violent. Because, from all the footage that I saw of the protest, the right-wing people, the white nationalists, the supremacists, basically, they were decked out in fucking weaponry. They had straight arsenals. Like, a bunch of them had automatic weapons. For what fucking reason? These are the same people who talk shit about left-wing activists, about liberal activists protesting. Like, one person just gets loud and they're all, oh, see, this is why your protests don't get respected. But then you come here chanting these awful things and bringing guns, bringing fucking rifles, automatic rifles and shit like that. That's not fucking necessary. So of course they were met with counter-protest by people who did support activists and just people in general who did support bringing down the statue. And in the chaos, some clearly deeply disturbed man. I forgot his name. I didn't really make it a point to learn his name. If I see it here, if I see it in this this page that I'm looking at, then I'll mention it. But he drove his car. He drove his vehicle into the crowd. And of course, you drive your vehicle into the crowd. Of course, you can see the footage. He drove it pretty malevolently. He was speeding in, speeding out. He was trying to hurt people. So that's just fucking craziness. And he was obviously the prime example of what those people showed up for. So that's what basically renders any logic from that side of that conflict, what renders any argument that comes from there moot. Because it's very obvious that those people, those right-wing people, those white nationalist people, those fascists, those white supremacists, they showed up to hurt people. They showed up to protect the fucking statue by any means necessary. Get the fuck out of here. And so, this deeply disturbed man drove into the crowd, injured several people. I believe it was 19 people. Because it wasn't just his car he hit too. There was a couple others. Okay, it's looking like James Alex Fields Jr. from Maumee, Ohio. I don't know shit about Ohio, so I don't know what that area would be like, but I guess I don't know. But he was certainly not, like I said, he was deeply disturbed. And an activist who was held in very high regard by her colleagues, and somebody who was basically trying to hold it down, somebody who saw injustice and actually, acted upon it. She's sure as shit better than me with this shit. Heather Heyer. I don't know if that's her. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but for simply exercising her right to protest, for simply showing that she is down for the cause. She was one of the ones struck, and she lost her life. Oh wow. Oh my goodness, it seems, wow. 2 Virginia State Patrol troopers were also killed in a helicopter crash. It says here, while assisting public safety resources with the ongoing situation. Yeah, okay. Wow. Oh my goodness, wow. Lieutenant H.J. Cullen and Trooper Burke M.M. Bates, who, yo, 2 days from now would have been his 41st birthday. Trying to keep the peace. I mean, I would hope. But still, it shouldn't have lost their lives like that. It's just... That's just really sad. It's really sad that, but I mean, it's not surprise. You know what? It's sad that it's obvious what's sad. It's just very obvious. It's just I don't even know. I don't even really know what to say. That what just like my buddy Justin Blue said, I don't even know what to say that hasn't already been said. This is despicable, this is disgusting, and I am, for what it's worth, I am glad that at least Governor Terry McAuliffe, I think I said that right. Like his statement, because I mean, a lot of the subsequent news following this incident obviously has been Trump's response. Trump first calling out there's two sides, and then trying to backtrack on it, then doubling down on it, and then trying to deny all this craziness going on with people, like what connections he had in this white supremacist community. And I mean, oh my goodness. It's hard to tell with like video footage that has come out showing that at least he wasn't always a racist or wasn't always this much of a bigot. Maybe. But he's clearly become a symbol for white nationalism and for the young white supremacist movement. I remember I and many people that I went to high school with we used to hold this belief, as we were learning, as we were, going through our intellectual journeys, we used to hold this belief that the generation that's older now, that's the generation that racism can end with, and once they die off, that's when we can really repair all the damage. But racism is clearly, furiously carrying over into these younger generations. Like, this whole insecurity of like white displacement, that's like really touching the hearts of a lot of white people. Like, look, I'm no economist, I'm no professor, I ain't got no degree or anything like that, but it seems like it's gonna take a lot, economically, socially, politically, media-wise, entertainment-wise, in just about every facet of our daily lives, it would take quite a bit to displace white people in Western society. That's just ridiculous to me. The notion that white people can just be displaced in such a way that should actually cause you to even try to equate your fear of this alleged displacement to somebody who comes from a culture that has endured all that kind of actual displacement. Country that has endured, basically it's not the same. It was never the same way as it was once the conquistadores touched it. You know, I actually just recently found out, looking into it a little bit. Well, actually, it was kind of convenient. It was kind of sort of on Adam Ruins Everything, but I mean, them niggas fact check shit. So, um, like Columbus's basically voyage here. Not to like pat myself on the shoulder, but honestly, this is probably more of like a slight at myself than a compliment to myself. I remember back in like second, third grade, stuff like that. Back when we were, it was back when, you know, second, third grade. I was like 7 and 8, maybe. Yeah, 7 and 8, 6, 7 and 8. And I remember we used to, especially during the beginning of the year, around uh, you know, what we called Columbus Day and what some people still call Columbus Day. I'm down with that Native American Heritage Day or Native Peoples Day. I don't remember what they want to call it, but I'm down with that name. um, what was I gonna say? That, goodness, what was it? Oh yeah. So we used to spend so much time with material on like the voyages and stuff like that. The conquistadores, and they were made to look like these like heroes, and they were taught in such like in this grand way, and I was just, I gotta be honest, I was just not feeling it. And you know, I would while the people were so enthusiastic, I was just like, "Ugh, whatever." And it seemed, obviously seemed like the teachers then had a problem with that. This is as far as I remember. I could have just been zoned out and just been bored by it. I'm pretty sure actually I was. But it's like kind of, it feels like kind of full circle because I don't know, the notion of them coming here and then and displacing our culture and us just willingly, well no, I say that like I'm like hella Native American, I'm not. But the conquistadores came and basically just straight up, like up front in your face, gentrified the Americas and displaced the Native Americans. The tale was sensationalized too. The tale of Christopher Columbus was sensationalized. He was a murderer. He was just like reap for resources and basically stomp on people, and you know, they brought all types of sickness that the Native Americans weren't used to, which we know that already. And so, you know, reduced populations from like 250,000 to 200. Almost wiped Native Americans off the face of the earth. You know, and I mean, don't we treat this, the conquistadores treat this like it's their land? But whatever. So I did watch, of course, like I mentioned before, especially that first Trump response. Oh my goodness. I don't understand how you're just so okay with coming off so immature. Like, that was, you know, a big racist riot that led to a tragedy. And he's sitting here talking about wanting to be right. Like, he really, really desperately seems to need that white supremacist base. Like just about everybody's saying. Like, this is just insane. It just seems like he became president as like a game. He's treating this shit like a game. This feels like a movie. This feels like a fucking movie where the president just became the president for fun and he's gonna fuck up just about everything. Okay, so in addition to this incident, um, I had heard about this earlier, but I'm only now seeing the developments on this, the Barcelona attack. Apparently, there were two attacks that seemed to be linked. First one was a van. Somebody drove a van. The attacker drove a van into, I believe it was into a crowd. And it looked like 2 or 3 people were killed with several injured. As the day went on, there were armed men who, looks like it was at least five assailants who basically sieged a restaurant. Let's see. Needless to say, this is a terrorist attack. It seems to be linked, as far as what I've been hearing, linked to jihad. It seems to be a jihadist attack. I don't know that for a fact, but oh yeah, ISIS has claimed responsibility. But I mean, shit, they could claim responsibility for the fucking Unabomber. Doesn't make it true. But I do want to offer my condolences for all the people who have lost their lives due to terrorism, not only in Virginia and in Barcelona, but also, I mean, around the world, you know, in the places where ISIS is in control, in the places where all this fighting like this is still going on, you know. It's not limited to these 2 places, it's all over the world. I do want to offer my condolences for all the lives that are being lost just because people want to be able to live. This one was especially frightening to me too because my big sister lives in Spain. I was under the misunderstanding for, I guess, years now. I thought she lived in Barcelona. I don't know why. So when I found out about this, I immediately contacted her. I immediately wanted to verify that she was okay. And not to make light of the situation, but I guess it is kind of humorous how the situation worked out. Turns out she lives about 5 hours away from Barcelona. It looks like in the inland. I won't share the exact city, but yeah, it's apparently 5 hours away from Barcelona. So that was an incredible relief. It was actually her who first mentioned the jihadist involvement. I'm sure that she and everybody around her, you know, my nephew and my brother-in-law, and everybody, I'm sure everyone in Spain was just glued to the news all day. I mean, that was just that's a frightening feeling. You know, and to think that some people, you know, we get to live in this, like, I guess, blissful ignorance most of the time, but a lot of people in less, quote, peaceful areas, this is their life. Constant feeling of fear, constant feeling of like, there's levels to like fear of losing life. Like, there's levels of like you walk somewhere and you drive every day to work, you get driven to school. Yeah, an accident can happen, but I mean, the likelihood of it, especially when when everybody around you is actually being reasonable and prudent with their driving, the odds of that are, that's just like, circumstances in life. I'm talking about like people actively going out there, trying to hurt people, and you know, to to have that feeling of you might just so happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and shit goes down, and that's it. That's or some have that feeling of somebody in your family, especially if they work in more dangerous areas, or they just find themselves in more dangerous areas, having to do whatever they do. That's fucking frightening. So my heart definitely goes out to the people who are involved. I mean, really, to the people of the, again, less peaceful, quote, part of Earth. I know I was inconsistent with where I placed the quote word, but you get me. This is just crazy. I mean, I'm not gonna try and be one of those people who's like, oh, what's going on these days? Nothing's going on except that things are just coming out again. The supremacy, the institutionalized racism, and all that stuff is just coming out again. Who was it who said? Oh my goodness! I just saw this today. So it could literally be any of these people. It could literally be Angela Rye, Deezus, Mero, Joe Budden, Academics, Nadeska. It could be any of the 6 of them. Or it could be one of the clips they used. I don't even know. But they had to speak in code. So I think it was on Everyday Struggle. They had to speak in code before. Now that things are out again, all this, all the racism and all that, all the discrimination, it was just low key. Like people who are seriously out here talking about racism ain't really, a factor. High key racism, yeah, generally isn't a factor in a lot of these areas, a lot of these developed areas, a lot of these, areas that do have some kind of tact. Oh my goodness, a fly by my ear. Yeah, that's not high key in those kind of areas. In Miami, racism is not high key, but it exists. Yo, it exists. Oh my goodness, does it exist? I believe I mentioned in an earlier episode, it is visible, the way that many Hispanics who are very clearly Afro-Latino, Afro-Hispanic, deny their race because of that instilled feeling of like the whole, purify the race. We've all heard that rhetoric. I don't know how far I'll get into this discussion today, but Ill Concepts and I, Indigo Lines, we were just talking about this earlier today, actually. And yeah, that's very much alive, and especially in the Hispanic culture. These are things that have been present in members of my extended family. And I'm talking like way extended, like somebody in the family I didn't even know. That I only seem to have seen, a couple times when I was little. But still, like, the fact that that even existed. The fact that, like, so many people just grow up just with, like, having these stereotypes fed into them, until they just internalize it, and that's just how they see people who are different from them. That's weird. That's weird. Like, honestly. Oh my goodness. So, we also have this. What is this guy's name? Something Cantwell. Christopher Cantwell. Cantwell. That there's already a lot of jokes in that, none of which I can think of at this very moment. So, leave a joke in the comment box about this fool. White supremacist, pretty outwardly racist, talking about how could is it like okay. All right, so they are married. Something about how could he give his daughter to a Jew? That so anti-Semite, racist, white supremacist, talking all this big game. He's armed. He's trying to become more dangerous. He wants to hurt people. He thinks that Heather Hayer's death was justified, and then he's getting an arrest warrant. There's the possibility of an arrest warrant. Now, don't get me wrong. If there was an arrest warrant out for me, then again, I ain't doing shit. I would be shook, but I ain't doing shit. This man out here toting guns and spewing hate and ready to act on it too, and then he flip and turn. He just flip and he ain't keep the same energy. So this man ain't shit, clearly. So yeah, that's about as far as I'll go on him. I'm really hungry. It's 4:02 and I am really hungry. 4:02 is an anagram for something. Yeah. It's interesting to think about the artists that are coming from down here, the rap artists that are coming from down here. Because I mean, it feels like there's this kind of uniform sound that's going on, and my shit don't sound like that. So it's just interesting. I'm just leaving that as a little setup for a discussion for next episode. For right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and head inside, get some sleep. So once again, great stuff coming. Sci-fi is up. We got something, we got some new stuff coming very soon. Look out for that. Be sure to subscribe, and I would really appreciate if you share the video too. Go ahead and share either my channel or just this particular episode, or whatever your favorite episode is. Just share this episode. Just make it easier. Just share this episode. On your Twitter, on your Instagram, whatever. Share a link to it on Twitter or on Facebook. I would really, really appreciate that. And thank you so much for listening. Honestly, every time, it really is fun to make this show. And I know this episode, while touching on some serious topics, I wasn't really I don't know, it just felt a little shorter, but I got more coming for you. I'm gonna get back on here and give you guys some more energy for sure. Thanks again for listening, and be sure to follow everything Cyrex MC. This is the Freak Show, episode 21. Thank you so much. I'm Cyrex. Have a good night.